Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bourbon Note. I'm Greg.
I'm Ben.
And today, we're drinking a rye. All right, Ben, bring it on in.
All right, we've got, bam, we're going down the rabbit hole. This is Rabbit Hole Boxer Grail Kentucky Straight Rye. All right, we have a rye here. We've had Rabbit Hole products before, but we've never had a Rabbit Hole rye.
That's why I picked it up.
Yeah, 95 proof. So we did a video a while ago where we did a couple of different Rabbit Hole products. We actually liked them.
Yes.
I think the two that we did were the
sherry cask one was really
the
good.
Derringer, something like that. And then there was the Cave Hill, which was a 4-grain, and that was really interesting.
Yes.
Now, Rabbit Hole does get a little expensive very quickly.
They seem to be, and it's hard to being in Minnesota, they seem to be a mid-sized distillery, right? They're big enough that they can do some interesting stuff.
Yep.
But they're not a big dog that's able to mass produce some huge scale.
So here's going to be the interesting thing about this review for me.
Okay.
When you get a craft distillery, and I think they're doing their own distillate.
Yes.
If I remember correctly.
I think they are. And they're doing like malted grains.
Yeah. So craft distilleries there is that craft bourbon kind of flavor.
Yep.
That you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
You probably know what I'm talking about. I don't know what necessarily a craft rye note is.
That's a fair point. I don't know if we've ever had a small distillery style. And
I have, but I really liked it. And so I don't know.
Yeah.
Going into this, it just smells like a rye to me, and it doesn't really have a craft distillery sort of vibe to it, which is typically a good thing.
I'm getting a little bit of Pop-Tart on the nose, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not with you on the Pop-Tart so far.
Yeah, but you're in.
Unless it's like a rye orange citrus peel Pop-Tart.
Citrus peel is a nice call.
Yeah.
Huh.
Sometimes a rye kind of brings that citrus vibe. Sure. I feel like there's a couple different avenues ryes tend to go down. And this one's leaning more on that bright citrus vibe.
Okay.
Well, let's see what happens on the palate.
Find out.
Cheers. That tastes very much like a rye whiskey to me. I don't really know where to go beyond that.
So the only thing that stands out for me is nothing stands out.
That's kind of where I'm at too, which honestly is not a bad thing.
And I'm not saying that as an insult at all, because it tastes like a really good rye whiskey with no of the weird extraneousness.
Yes, exactly. Is extraneousness? Is that a...
It just became one.
Were you hoping I was going to move on past that?
No, it just became one. I think everyone knows where that works.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this has like a...
it doesn't... I don't want to say it's a one-hit wonder, because it tastes like rye whiskey, right?
Yeah.
And there's nothing else, and I don't say that as a negative, but...
There's an interesting... What I was saying before we got into the tasting here was that ryes tend to go down a couple of different paths. Sometimes they lean a little bit more to that fruity citrus sort of vibe, and sometimes they lean towards that kind of like clove, allspice.
Kind of the anise, that kind of almost licorice type.
And this one, I feel leans more towards the citrus side, but it doesn't, there's small aspects of each, but at the same time, it just kind of comes together and makes for kind of a basic rye, which again is not a bad thing. Sometimes a good basic down the middle. I don't know if I would fully say it's just a down the middle rye.
Okay, so we're the Bourbon Note. We do far more reviews of bourbons. We've certainly had several ryes at this point, but we don't claim to be experts on rye whiskey.
We are hardcore experts on bourbon, though. You heard it here first. But yeah, this, I don't know. It's kind of, it's good. I definitely like this. And if I wanted to have a pour of rye whiskey, I would easily reach for this and be satisfied with it. Now, if you're a rye aficionado, I don't know. Maybe this doesn't fall into the...
That's my guess, is if someone's really into different ryes that are interesting and different, this is going to be the boring, right down the middle type rye. We just don't have enough experience with ryes to say. But there's nothing off-putting or, like, it's good. Like, it's really good, but nothing unique to call out.
Yeah, I feel like this is a kind of a very basic rye. What was the price on this?
$50.
$50? Greg knows sign language. I don't. They just offend our
that was hilarious.
Contingency in our audience. I don't know.
Yeah, trying to figure out that was difficult.
Yeah. So, I mean, $50 for this, I think.
So, I mean, smaller distillery, they do some interesting stuff. I absolutely love their Cave Hill, which is the
Yeah, the Cave Hill's very interesting.
But that one, they're pushing $80, $85 on that typically.
Yeah.
So this at $50, there's tons of other ryes that are maybe in this category.
That will compete with it for sure, that are maybe a little bit cheaper. But I think for a craft distillery, smaller distillery doing their own thing, this is pretty good. I mean...
So
I've definitely had a ton worse out of smaller distilleries.
So all I'm getting off this is a basic rye whiskey spice at the beginning, or taste, and then ethanol burn at the end with almost no flavor. Like, and it's not a ton, like it's at 95 proofer, like, but there's just like not a lot of interesting barrel character.
Yeah, I would guess this is maybe low age.
Yeah,
I agree with you on that. I'm not really getting much age out of this. Could be wrong, but
still nothing off-putting.
But yeah, again, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing, offensive about it.
Right.
So I don't know. I guess as far as the price goes, as far as a recommend, I mean, if you want to explore a new brand, have a cool bottle on your shelf. It's got a great bottle, great label.
Yep.
And support a craft distillery. I don't think this is a bad one to pick up.
Right.
So, all right. Well, this has been Rabbit Hole. What's the name of it? Boxer Grail Kentucky Straight Rye Whiskey on the Bourbon Note. I'm Ben.
I'm Greg. Till next time. See you next time.